So we are studying the various angiospermic families, right? The various angiospermic families we have studied so far, and we came to know how the angiospermic families are different from the one another, right? They were showing the different characteristics, and they were showing how the vegetative characters were different, how the reproductive characters were different, and how the floral formula, most importantly, differ from family to family. How the floral diagram differ from family to family, as well as the economic importance of the every family is different from the rest of the families, right? So here it becomes very, very important to distinguish between the families. Whatever the families we have studied so far, you should be able to distinguish between them, because this literally gives you age to not overlap the content in the UPSC mains examination, right? Because majority of the time we see the vegetative portions of the plants, it looks similar, but you should be able to differentiate them, okay, by having the comparable charts with you. So while studying the families, you should create that chart, the comparative chart, in which you have to highlight the differences between the plant families or the angiospermic plant families. Okay, so in this particular video lecture, we are going to understand the vegetative, reproductive, floral formula, and the floral diagram, and the economic importance for the Malvaceae family. As you know, these type of the questions are very common in the UPSC mains examination, and that is why every family which is given in the syllabus for the botany optional is important from the examination point of view. Okay, so let us consider the Malvaceae family. So we are dealing with the paper 1 and the chapter number 3, that is the phanerogams. Okay, under the phanerogams we have to study the gymnosperms as well as the angiosperms, and we are here at the study of the angiospermic family, and we are studying now the Malvaceae family. Before that, we have completed the Dagnoliaceae, Ranunculaceae, Brassicaceae, Rosaceae, Fabaceae, and the Euphorbiaceae. Okay, so you can say we are studying the seventh plant family, that is called as the Malvaceae family. Okay, now see. Now let us consider how the members of the Malvaceae family were distributed throughout the world. Okay. Now see, it is commonly called as the cotton family. Okay. The very famous member of this family is the Gossypium species, which is called as the cotton, right, in the English. Right. Here you will find the cotton plant, and this particular cotton plant belongs to the Malvaceae family. Okay. The another very important and familiar example is the hibiscus plant. Right. Hibiscus plant is also belonging to this particular Malvaceae family, and as you know, in your graduation, largely the hibiscus plant is used for the practical purposes. In order to understand this particular Malvaceae family, we often use the hibiscus flower, right, which is a complete flower, right? So here in the Malvaceae family, this is generally called as the cotton family, because the cotton plant, which is called as the Gossypium genus, it belongs to this Malvaceae family. And the hibiscus, the very famous example which we studied in the graduation or any botany syllabus, it also belongs to the Malvaceae family. Now the family consists of the 85 genera and 1500 species. Of course, this number can change from book to book. Okay, and species among 111 species were found in the India. Right, the plants were almost cosmopolitan. Right, this literally means they were found throughout the world. They were cosmopolitan in nature, that is, they were found everywhere in the world. Okay, everywhere you go in the world, you will find the members of the Malvaceae family. Okay, actually the single most cotton species is almost found in the 70% of the world parts, right? So here when you say cosmopolitan in distribution, that literally means throughout the world you will find the presence of the Malvaceae family members. Okay, but many of which are only confined to the tropics and the subtropics. Okay, so tropical area and the subtropical area is actually favored by these kinds of the species. So that is why you can imagine why Indian subcontinent is a very favorable condition, because in the Indian subcontinent you will find the subtropical condition, and this subtropical condition are very, very favorable for the Malvaceae family members, and hence the Malvaceae family members found throughout the India. Okay, although they were not that much in the temperate region like northern India, but in the tropical and the subtropical areas they were predominantly present. So whenever you say the Malvaceae family about its distribution, they were cosmopolitan in nature. Okay, they were found everywhere. They were found in the tropics and the subtropics mainly, but actually their distribution is quite worldwide. Okay, that is, they were cosmopolitan in distribution. Now see, let us consider their vegetative characters. Okay, first of all, let us understand what is the habit of the Malvaceae family. Okay, see, the plants are generally herbs. Okay, majority of the plants are generally herbs, and for the herbs we have the example of abetilon, right, malva, sida, and the urena. All these four genus, that is the abetilon, then the malva, then the sida, and the urena, all these four genuses are showing the presence of the herbs. Okay, as you can see in this first picture, this is the abetilon flower. Okay, and this is the herb. Then in the second picture you can see the malva, and this is also a herb. Then in the third picture you can see the sida, Okay, this is also a herb, and in the urena you will find the fourth herb here. Okay, this is the urena plant. But there are not only the herbs, okay, but also the shrubs are also present there. For example, the hibiscus and the gossypium. As you know, you must have seen the plant of the hibiscus. This is the hibiscus, and this particular species of the hibiscus is found throughout the world, and actually these are very plants with beautiful flowers, and majority of the time these flowers are used for the worship purposes. Okay, religious importance is there for this plant, and that is why you will find this plant definitely in your locality. Okay, so hibiscus, it's a kind of shrub. Okay, it's a shrubby habit plant, and also the gossypium species, that is the cotton species, is there. This is also the shrubby plant. Okay, so not only the herbs but also the shrubs are there in the Malvaceae family. And which shrubs are there? The hibiscus and the gossypium shrubs are there in the Malvaceae family. All right. Here you can see this is the hibiscus plant and this is the gossypium plant, which are showing the shrub habit. Okay. While there are exceptionally there are trees. For example, the Gossypium arboreum. This is the Gossypium arboreum. This is showing the tree habit. Okay. So not when we talk about the habit in the Malvaceae family, there are all three kinds of the habits. Herbs are there, shrubs are there, and trees are also there. Okay, so the example for the herbs, then the example for the shrubs, and the example for the trees are there for the Malvaceae family, right? So this particular Malvaceae family is harboring not only the herbs, shrubs as well as the trees. Okay, with the mucilaginous saps in all the parts. Okay, this is the very characteristic feature that they were producing the mucilage in all the parts. Okay, actually the presence of mucilage is considered as a primitive character, and this particular plant family members were showing the presence of this mucilaginous sap in all of their parts. Okay, so this makes this particular family is very different from the rest of the family. Okay, so you should concentrate on such a point here. Okay, that the every plants were having the mucilaginous sap in their every part, right? Usually the young parts of the plants are covered with the stellate hairs. Okay, the very light hairs, very stellate hairs, light hairs are there on the young plant. Okay, if you observe the Gossypium plant, on the Gossypium plant you will definitely see on their stem the very smooth stellate hairs are there. Okay, so these stellate hairs are also characteristic features when the plants are young. Okay, so the presence of mucilaginous sap is a very unique condition in the Malvaceae family, and they were also showing the presence of the stellate hairs on their young body parts. Okay, and they were showing the herb shrubs as well as the tree habit in their plant family. Okay, and for that, for each one we have put forward the example here. You should remember, you should carefully remember the botanical names for the for as examples to be mentioned in the examination. Okay, now consider the root. Okay, how the roots are there? The roots are taproot system is there, and the roots are branch. Okay, simple taproot system is there. The single main root is coming out like this, and from this single root the branching is coming out like this. Okay, this is called as the taproot, and this type of taproot, simple taproot, is present in the family of Malvaceae. Okay, and this taproot often get branch, hence the branch word is important here. So taproot system is there, and the roots are often get branched. Right, now see how the stem is there. Of course the stem is herbaceous. Whenever we in the habit we say the presence of the herbs. Okay, you can definitely mention the stems are herbaceous, because once there is a herb, herbs are tends to show the herbaceous stem. Okay, so herbaceous stem is there in the, for example, in the malva. This is the malva plant, right? Sometimes woody stem is also there because the trees are there. Okay, so from the habit point you can actually describe the stem in the family. Okay, because the herbs are there, the herbaceous stems definitely there, some trees are there, so woody stem is also there, right? So branching is there, erect, that is above the ground, or sometimes spreading. For example, sida. Okay, observe this plant. This is the sida genus plant, and they were spreading plants. Okay, they were not growing upward like this, but they were spreading laterally, and hence we say their growth is the spreading growth or the creeping growth. Okay, so here we have the sida example in the stem, because it is showing not a spreading type of the stems. Okay, not the erect stem. So for the erect stem we have the example of a malva, but for the spreading stem we have the example of a sida. Okay, now see the pubescent with the stellate hairs. Okay, so whatever the pubescent or the young stems are there, these are young stems where shows the stellate hairs on them. Okay, so you should carefully remember, because this separates this particular Malvaceae family from rest of the family, because whenever there is a young plant, in their stem they were showing the presence of the stellate hairs. Okay, so here the roots and the stem of the Malvaceae family, it looks very alike with the other plant family members. Okay, but there are certain differences. For example, there is a presence of the stellate hairs on their young stems. Right, now let us consider the leaves, how the leaves are there. See, leaves can be alternate. Okay, and they are petiolate. Okay, alternate little means alternate, this type of the phyllotaxy is there. right? The leaves are alternating with one another. Okay, alternate leaves are there. Then the petiolate leaves are there. That is the petiole is present. This portion is called as the petiole. Okay. Then they are stipulate. Okay, at the base of the leaves you will find the stipules like this. So stipules are present, and stipules are deciduous. Okay, that is they will fall off whenever there is an unfavorable condition. For example, in the malva. Okay, the deciduous type of the stipules are there in the family of Malvaceae. So it becomes very important when you say stipulate, you should mention which type of the what is the nature of this stipule. Okay, in the Malvaceae family, the nature of the stipule is the deciduous nature. Okay, now see the leaves are the simple. Okay, that is the one single blade is there like this in the majority of the members, right? Simple leaf is there, and entire or palmately divided or the lobe. Okay, the lobes are present in between these leaves, while the margin can be wavy or the serrate. Okay, the serrate literally means the tooth margin like this. Okay, so if there is a tooth margin, we explain them as a serrate margin. So margin can be wavy or it can be serrate. Okay, the apex is acute. Okay, acute apex is there for this particular leaves, and the multicosted reticulate venation is there. Okay, that is the multicosta are present in the single leaf. They are not only the one, but the many costas are there, and the reticulate type of the venation is there. That is, they were forming the network of the leaves. Okay, no, sorry, network of the veins, right? So how the leaves are there, the leaves are alternate in nature. Okay, that is they were alternating with the one another. Then the petiolate leaves are there, that is the presence of petiole is there. Then the stipulate leaves are there, and how the stipules are there, they were deciduous in nature. For example, in the malva they can be simple, right? Entire or palmately divided or lobed. Okay, margin can be wavy or the serrate, and the apex apex is acute in nature. Okay, while there is a multicosted reticulate venation. Here the things you have to remember, sometimes we have used the unicosted reticulate venation, right? So here we are using the term multicosted reticulate venation. This will be used to separate the Malvaceae family from rest of the family. Okay. So such a point you should carefully note it down that the multicosted reticulate type of the venation is actually seen in the Malvaceae family. Okay. Now see. Now let's consider the floral characters. Okay, which type of the floral characters are there in the Malvaceae family? Okay. Now let us consider the inflorescence. How the inflorescence is there? See, inflorescence can be solitary axillary in case of the hibiscus and the urena. Okay. Consider this hibiscus plant. The solitary literally means the single. Okay. If the flower is born single axillary, this is called as the solitary axillary type of inflorescence, which can be found in the hibiscus or the urena. Okay. This hibiscus plant and this is the urena plant. They were showing the solitary axillary type of the inflorescence. Okay, or it can be solitary terminal. For example, the abetyllon. See, in the abetyllon you will find the solitary terminal type of the inflorescence, while the raceme type of the inflorescence can be seen in the althea. Okay, observe this whole inflorescence, a group of flower is here. This plant is called as the althea, and this althea is showing the presence of the raceme type of the inflorescence. Okay, while the panicle type of the inflorescence is found in the cadia. Okay, this is the cadia plant, and this particular cadia plant is showing the panicle type of the inflorescence. Okay, so inflorescences are varied in the Malvaceae family. Okay, they can be say solitary axillary, they can be solitary terminal, they can be raceme, they can be panicle. Okay, it will all depend on which genus we are talking about. Okay, and what is important here, you should carefully remember the which fruit, which flower is we are talking about relating with the example of the flower. Okay, so the flower example will be important here, because in order to explain the inflorescence you should show which examples are there for this particular inflorescence. Okay, so for solitary axillary we have the hibiscus and the urena, for solitary terminal we have the abetyllon, and for the raceme we have the athia, and for the panicle we have the cadia. Okay, now let us consider the flower. Okay, how the flowers are there. As you can see on the screen, the variously colored beautiful flowers are there. Okay, now see how the flowers are there. Flowers are pedicellate. Okay, that is the pedicels are present, that is the stalk is present in these particular flowers. Okay, so if the stalk is present, this stalk is called as the pedicel, and hence the flower are explained as a pedicellate flowers. Okay, they are bracteolate. Okay, that is the bracts are present. Okay, and bracteolate in the form of epicalyx. Okay, so very important here, we are talking about the epicalyx. Okay, epicalyx is the structure which is present below the calyx. Okay, for example, here at the top we have the corolla, then at the base we have the calyx, and below this calyx you will find the epicalyx. Okay, so the presence of the epicalyx makes the Malvaceae family very different from the rest of the family, because this particular Malvaceae family is showing the presence of the epicalyx. Okay, because majority of the plant families we didn't see there is a if there is a presence of the epicalyx or not. Okay, so this will also reflect in the floral formula as well. right? So in the floral formula we have to also give the apicalyx, how many apicalyx are there and what is their nature. Okay, so apicalyx is present below the calyx, and this apicalyx makes the Malvaceae family very unique of its own kind. Okay, now the hermaphrodite or rarely unisexual. Okay, the flowers are bisexual. Okay, observe here the androecium and gynoecium both can be found. Okay, here also the gynoecium and the androecium both can be found together, and the presence of androecium, that is the male sexual organ, and the presence of gynoecium, that is the female sexual organ, both are there in the family of the Malvaceae. So Malvaceae family are showing the bisexual type of the flower, that is the majority of its member are bisexual in nature, that is they were hermaphrodite in nature, but rarely, very rarely they were unisexual in nature, for example in a Nepene. Okay, so this will be important from the MCQ point of view. Okay, majority of the time the examiner likes to ask the exceptions in the Malvaceae. For example, in the Malvaceae family, which plants, which genus is showing the unisexual flowers? So the Nepene genus, Nepi genus in the Malvaceae family, they were showing the unisexual type of the flowers, while rest of the flowers in the Malvaceae family are hermaphrodite in nature, they were bisexual in nature. Okay, they were complete. Okay, complete literally means the presence of all four floral whorls. Okay, there is a calyx, there is a corolla, there is a androecium, and there is a gynoecium. If all four are present, then the flower is considered as a complete flower. If one of them out of the four is absent, then such a flower is considered as a incomplete flower. Okay, so the complete flower is there in the Malvaceae family because calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, all four of whorls in the flower are present. Okay, the flowers are actinomorphic, that is the flowers can be cut into two equal whorls from the any plant, right? See, actinomorphic flowers are here in the Fabaceae family. We have observed that there is a maximum of 10 zygomorphous flower is there. Okay, which can be cut into two equal whorls from the only one plane. Okay, but in the Malvaceae family, the Malvaceae family shows the remarkable symmetry in their flowers. Okay, so this symmetry makes these flowers actinomorphic in nature, because if you cut the flower from any side, it will definitely cut into the two equal parts. Okay, so the actinomorphic flower is the characteristic of the Malvaceae family, while the zygomorphic flower is the characteristic feature of the Fabaceae family. So, as you know, in the majority of the plant families we have seen so far, majority of the time the actinomorphic flowers are there. Okay, so actinomorphic flower hence considered as a very primitive character because they were found in the primitive plant families, primitive angiospermic families. But whatever the advanced families are there, just like the just like the Fabaceae family, where you will find the zygomorphic condition, because the zygomorphic condition is considered as an advanced condition over the actinomorphic condition. Okay, then there are pentamerous, that is the 5 petals are there generally. If you count, see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, always nearly always you will find there is a presence of the 5 petals. Okay, so pentamerous generally the nature of the flower is there, and it is hypogynous in the nature. Okay, so the how the flower is there for the Malvaceae family. The Malvaceae family shows the flower which is the pedicellate in nature, right? Pedicel is there, bracteate flowers are there, and epicalyx, the very special character of the Malvaceae family is there. There is the presence of the epicalyx. Okay, so and it is bisexual majority of the time, while it is unisexual sometimes or rarely. An example for the unisexuality is the Nepi. Okay, and they were complete actinomorphic, pentamorphous, and the hypogynous in nature. All right. Now let us consider the epicalyx. Okay, the very first structure in the calyx we are going to see the epicalyx. Okay, now observe in this particular picture. See, you will see the corolla, the calyx. Okay, and below it you will find the epicalyx. Okay, so epicalyx is 3 in the gossypium. Okay, if you take the gossypium flower, you will find the 3 epicalyx are there, or it can be the 7 to 9 in the althea. Okay, so number can vary right from 3 to 7 to the 9. Okay, and in a few it is totally absent. For example, the abetyllon and in the sida. Okay, in abetyllon and in the sida you will not find any kind of the epicalyx, but there are some members. For example, the gossypium is showing the epicalyx, and the 3 epicalyx are present, or 7 to 9 epicalyx are there in the althea plant. Okay, so the number can vary, but the presence of the epicalyx makes the Malvaceae family a very unique family with its own kind. Okay, because the epicalyx is not the structure that were found in the every kind of plant, but this epicalyx is actually present in the Malvaceae family. Okay, now see the calyx, how the calyx is there. See, the calyx is the number of sepals are 5. Okay, if you observe the calyx, the number of sepals is 5, and it is connate at the base. This literally means they are fused at the base. Okay, but they are free at the apex, but they are fused at the base. Connate at the base literally means they were having the fusion at the base. As you can observe here in this gossypium plant, see the calyx, it is fuse at the base. Okay, the fusion at the base is there, but whenever it gets at the apex, it will remain the free from one another. Okay, and it is persistent in nature. See, this is also a very unique kind of the characteristic feature of the Malvaceae family. Till now we have seen the Cudicus type of the calyx, but the persistent type of the calyx is there in the Malvaceae family. Persistent literally means till the formation of the fruit there is a presence of the calyx. Okay, see, this is the Gossypium flower, and once this Gossypium flower got converted into the ball like fruit, okay, still there is a calyx at the base of its fruit. Okay, calyx will not fall off till there is a formation of the fruit. Okay, and if the calyx is present till the formation of the fruit, it is considered as a persistent type of calyx. Persistent literally means the one which stays. Okay, that is why whenever there is a calyx in the flower, and if that calyx is persisting till the formation of the fruit, then such a kind of the calyx is considered as a persistent calyx. Okay, sometimes it is forming the tube. Okay, sometimes these calyx were combined at the base, and they were forming the tube like structure. Okay, like this. Okay, you can actually take out the tube from the flower. The whole tube is formed in the flower by the calyx. And for example, in the urina, if you take the whole tube out of the flower, you can take it as a whole. Okay, so sometimes they were formed the tube, as in case of the urina, and the valvate type of aestivation is there generally. Okay, it can change from time to time, but the valvate type of aestivation is there. Okay, and as you know, the valvate type of aestivation is the simple type of aestivation in which the sepals are aligned on the similar radii. Okay, they were in the circular fashion, and they were aligning on the same radii, and hence no overlapping is there, no forward and backward arrangement is there, but the valvate type of simple type of aestivation is there in the calyx of the Malvaceae family. Okay, now let us consider the corolla. Okay, how the corolla is there. Now see, corolla, the petals are 5. Okay, how many petals are there? Petals are 5, and these petals can be easily, you can easily count it. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. 5 petals are always there in the maximum times. Okay, and these are 5 petals are polypetalous in nature. Okay, that is, they are free from one another. Okay, you can observe in each and every type of the flower that these are flowers were showing the presence of the polypetalous flower, right? The petals are free from one another, sometimes slightly connate. Okay, sometimes at the base they were fused. Okay, if you go to the base, for example, at the apex, you will see them free, but at the base, okay, here at the base, you will find there is some kind of fusion is there. Okay, so connate at the base, this is the very characteristic feature of the Malvaceae family members. Hence, you should carefully use these words in the UPSC mains examination as well. Okay, so corolla, how the corolla is there? The number of petals are 5. Okay, and they were polypetalous in nature. Okay, polypetalous nature is there, and sometimes they were slightly connate at the base with the staminal tube. Okay, observe the staminal tube. You will find staminal tube everywhere in the family of the Malvaceae. Okay, see this tube, okay, which is coming out of the flower. This is called as the staminal tube. Okay, see, this is the staminal tube, and this staminal tube is the characteristic feature of the Malvaceae family. Okay, and this staminal tube is thus the epipetalous. Now see, the very important term is here. Okay, this will reflect everywhere, not only in the UPSC mains examination, but also this will change your floral formula, this will change your floral diagram. Okay, see, epipetalous literally means the staminal the androecium or the staminal tubes are attached itself to the petals. Okay, see, the very unique kind of condition is here. The whatever the pollen tube, or say androecium tube, or the staminal tube is there, this tube is attached itself to the petals. Okay, so fusion is there, and fusion is between the androecium and the corolla is there. Okay, and the individual member of the androecium are called as the stamens, and the individual member of the corolla are called as the petals. Okay, so the fusion between the stamens and the petals is there in the Malvaceae family. Okay, and hence we are using the term epipetalous. Okay, so epipetalous flowers are there, epipetalous corolla is there, because the androeciums are in a fusion, or the stamens are in a fusion with the petals. Okay, then these corolla are large. Okay, how the corolla is there? Corolla is very large, and it is showy. Okay, as you can see how the showy flowers are there, right? And the twisted aestivation is there, that is the every leaf margin is overlapped by the next leaf, and it is in turn overlapped by the another leaf. So this is called as the twisted type of the aestivation. All right, so in the calyx we have the velvet type of aestivation, but in the corolla we have the twisted type of the aestivation. And the very special feature is there, the prominent veins can be observed in the petals. Okay, observe this petal. See, the very prominent veins can be observed. Okay, see how the veins can be easily observable in this particular flowers of the Malvaceae. Again, this is a very important and the very unique type of the characteristic feature for the Malvaceae family, that they were showing the presence of the very prominent veins in their flowers. Okay, so in their flowers you will definitely find the very prominent type of the veins in the petals. Okay, so how the petals are there, or how the corolla is there? The petals are five. They are polypetals, they are free at the apex. Okay, but they can be slightly fused or connate at the base. Okay, then they are having the staminal tube, and the staminal tube is attached to the petals, and hence the epipetalous condition is there. Then how the flowers are there? Flowers are very large, they are showy, right? How the corolla is there? Large showy corolla is there, twisted aestivation is present, and the prominent veins can be observed in the petals. Okay, now see. Now let us consider the androecium, how the androecium is there in the Malvaceae family. Now carefully understood this, because majority of the time this particular example is used in the every kind of the plant family. All right. Now see the androecium. Okay, the very first is the very first thing we are going to understand about the androecium, that their stamens are indefinite. Okay, observe the how many stamens or how many pollen grains or the male reproductive organs are there. These number of the stamens are unlimited in the family of the Malvaceae. That is, this particular Malvaceae family is showing the unlimited amount of the stamens. So of course in the floral diagram we have to put the sign of the indefinite, right? So indefinite stamens are there, and they are monoadelphous. Okay, that is, they were fused to form the only the one staminal tube. Okay, see, this is the staminal tube which is coming out from this particular flower, and this staminal tube is actually single, and that is why we are explaining them as a monoadelphous in nature. Okay, and thus it will form the staminal tube. Okay, so every kind of the stamens is attached to the one single staminal tube, and hence the due to the presence of one staminal tube only, the monoadelphous condition is there. Okay, if the two staminal tubes are created, this is called as the diadelphous condition. But the monoadelphous condition is typically found in the Malvaceae family members, because the whole staminal tube is single. Okay, they were epipetalous staminal tube united with the corolla. See, this particular staminal tube is in the fusion with the corolla. Okay, and hence we are using the term called as the epipetalous. Okay, this particular epipetalous word is showing that the corolla and the androecium are fused with one another, or the petals or the stamens are fused with the one another. Okay, how the anthers are there? Anthers are monothecous, that is, only the one theca is there. Okay, only one theca is there. They are monothecous in nature. But in the previous family, in the majority of the time we have seen there is a dithecous type of the anthers, right? So this is also the distinguishing point for the Malvaceae family, that they were showing the monothecous type of the anthers. Okay, so anthers are monothecous in nature, and they were reniform. Okay, how they are? They are reniform in nature. They are basifix, and the filaments are short, and the introse nature is there. Okay, so introse nature is there, filaments are short, while the reniform and the basifix type of the nature is there for the anthers. Okay, so how the androecium is there? Androeciums are indefinite, right? And they are monoadelphous in nature. Staminal tube is formed, and epipetalous condition can be seen, right? Anthers are monothecous, then they are reniform, then they are basifix, then the filaments are very short, and they very introse in nature. Okay, so this is how the androecium is there in the Malvaceae family. Okay, now let us consider the gynoecium, how the gynoecium is there. See, multicarpellary and usually five gynoecium carpels are there. Okay, observe in this particular first picture, this is the hibiscus flower, and at the top you will definitely find, you can actually count the number of the carpels. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 carpels are there in the hibiscus. Okay, so multicarpellary condition is there. Generally the 5 carpels are there, or there are sometimes the 10 carpels in the Althea. Okay, in this particular flower of the Althea, you will definitely find the presence of the 10 gynoeciums or the carpels. Okay, sometimes they are even indefinite. For example, in the abetyllon, in this particular abetyllon flower, you will find the indefinite number of the gynoeciums. Okay, or they can be 3 in the Caria. Okay, so the number of the carpels are vary from plants to plants. For example, they can be 5 in the hibiscus, they can be 10 in the althea, they can be indefinite in the abetilon, and they can be 3 in case of the cadia. So the number of the carpels change from genus to genus. Okay, you should remember it carefully while putting the floral formula for every genus. Okay, for which genus you are putting the floral formula, this is also important, because for the hibiscus you have to put the 5. Okay, and for the althea you have to put the 10. Okay, now they are syncarpus, very very important. Okay, the fusion is there. Syncarpus type of the gynoecium is there, that is all the carpels, whether they are 5, whether they are 10, they are showing the syncarpus type of condition, that is they were all fused with the one another. Okay, then the ovary is superior, of course the ovary is superior, and then you must remember we have to give the underline below the gynoecium or the carpel number in order to show the ovary is superior. Okay, see the penta or the multilocular with the exhale placentation. Okay, so how many locules are there in the ovary? It is a pentalocular in nature. Okay, and the exhale placentation is there. Okay, so exhale type of placentation can be seen in the ovaries, and inside the ovary whatever the pattern of the ovules is there for the attachment to the placenta, this is the exhale type of the placentation. Okay, ovules are one to many in each of the loculus. Okay, in the each of the locule you can find the one ovule or to the many ovules. Okay, the style is long, one, and it is long and it is passing through the staminal tube. Okay, so the style is actually passing through the staminal tube, and it is the long style actually. Okay, it is the very long style and the one style, and it is passing through the staminal tube, while the stigma is corresponds to the number of carpels. Okay, whatever the stigma is present at the apex, this stigma will correspond to the number of carpels. How many numbers of carpels are there? That number of stigma are there at the apex of the gynoecium. Okay, so it is just like that. Consider this is a flower of the hibiscus, and this hibiscus flower is showing the staminal tube like this. Okay, this is the staminal tube, and here you will find the presence of the anthers. Okay, these are all the anthers, but inside this, here you will find the presence of the style. Okay, this is the style, and this style at the apex, it will give the stigmas. Okay, so if the number of carpels 5, the 5 stigmas are there at the apex, as you can easily observe them in the hibiscus genus. Okay, so this is how the gynoecium is there. What is the nature of the gynoecium? It is the multicarpellary, usually 5, 10, or indefinite or 3. It will depend on which type of the genus we are talking about, right? Then the syncarpus condition is there. Ovary is superior, penta multilocular, exhale placentation, ovule 1 to many in each loculus, right? Style is very long, it is passing through the staminal tube, and the number of stigma corresponds to the number of carpels. Okay, so we have talked about the gynoecium, how the gynoecium is there, how many carpels are there in the Malvaceae family. Okay, and how the different kind of arrangement for the gynoecium or the carpels is there for its long, very one and long style, right? Now let us consider the fruit. Okay, how the fruits are there in the Malvaceae family. See, the fruits are schizocarpic cercicorulus. Okay, it is a type of fruit. It is actually a schizocarpic type of fruit which is found in the abetilon, malva, and the sida. Okay, observe this fruit. Okay, this fruit, and this type of the fruits are called as the schizocarpus cercicorulus type of the fruit. Okay, and these species are showing the very unique kind of fruit, and this unique kind of fruit is actually the characteristic feature of the Malvaceae family. Then the fruit can be capsule. Okay, in case of the hibiscus or the gossypium. Okay, observe this is the hibiscus fruit, and this is the gossypium fruit, and both of which are capsule in nature. Okay, and sometimes the berry type of the fruit is also found in the Malvaceae essicus. Okay, see here you will find the berry type of the fruit which is found in the Malvaceae. Okay, so here the fruits are also variable. Schizocarpic fruits are found in the abetilon, malva, sida. Okay, this type of the schizocarpus fruit is called as the cercicorulus type of fruit. Okay, and the capsule is found in the hibiscus and the gossypium. Okay, and again here the examples are very important to show in the mains examination that whenever you write the schizocarpic cercicorulus, you should give the example for it. Okay, at least one example. For example, the abetilon, malva, or the sida. Okay, and for the capsule, you know the hibiscus and the gossypium species are there, and for the berry we have the Malvaceae species. Okay, now consider the seed, how the seeds are there. Seeds are non-endospermic. Okay, these are considered as the advanced character, and this advanced type of character were found in the Malvaceae family, that the non-endospermic type of the seed is present in the Malvaceae family. Okay, in the some general the seed coat is generally tomentose. For example, in the gossypium, okay, whatever the seed coat is there, it is very tomentose in nature and very delicate in nature, and this type of the seed coats again the very characteristic feature of the Malvaceae family which is found in the gossypium. Okay, If you observe the Gossypium seeds, okay, inside this Gossypium you will find the seeds. The very gray to black color seeds are there, and these seeds are showing the seed coat which is very dense. Okay, densely tomentose type of the seed coat is there for these particular seeds in the Malvaceae family, or say for the Gossypium genus. Okay, so how the seeds are there? Seeds are non-endospermic in nature. Now let us consider the pollination. Of course, the very beautiful, attractive, colorful flowers are there in the Malvaceae family. So obviously the pollination is entomophilous type of the pollination, that is they were the insect pollinated. Okay, insect got attracted towards these flowers, and once the insect land on the one flower and it travel to the another flower, indirectly it carry the pollen grain to the another flower, and hence pollinating the flowers. Okay, in this way the entomophilous type of the pollination is there for the Malvaceae family. Okay, so insects are attracted for the nectar, okay, showing nature of the corolla and the protondrous flowers. Okay, how the adaptations are there in the Malvaceae family to attract the insects are, there is a presence of the nectar. Okay, nectar is there, and to this nectar largely attract these particular honeybees. Okay, then the showy nature of the flower is there. Okay, flowers are very showy in nature. We have seen that how beautiful flowers are there, how beautiful corolla is there, right? And the protandrous nature of the flower, okay, that is the flower is literally coming out of the plants and it is generally in the air. Okay, this protandrous nature of flower is also very useful in attracting the insects. Okay, now here the very important one thing is here that the self pollination is often avoided by means of the protoentry. Okay, that is, although the plants are hermaphrodite in nature or bisexual in nature, that is the androecium and gynoecium are present on the same flower, right? As you know, we have seen the staminal tube, and at the from inside the staminal tube there is a style, and on the and at the apex of the style you will find the presence of the stigma. Okay, so generally 5 stigmas are present in the hibiscus, and here you will find the presence of the anthers. Okay, here are the anthers. So it is very easy to have the self pollination. Okay, that is the anthers can land on the same stigma, so self pollination can occur. But here the self pollination is completely avoided. And how the Malvaceae family members avoid the self pollination? By using the method of protoentry. Okay, what happens in a protoentry, the stigmas are located at the apex. Okay, very much apex at the upper side, while the anthers or the pollen grains are located below it. Okay, so there will be the very less chance that the same pollen grain will land on the same flower or the same stigma. Okay, if these pollen grains were present above these stigma, there will be the maximum chances of landing these pollen grains on the same stigma. But here is the different kind of arrangement. Here is the protoentry in which the anthers are present below the stigma, and hence there are very less chances that the pollen grain from the same anther will land on the same stigma which located on the same flower. Okay, and in this way the self pollination is avoided. Okay, although the flowers are bisexual, but they still want to avoid the self pollination. They will prefer the cross pollination. They will prefer the pollen grain from the another plant material, and these another hibiscus species and other hibiscus species pollen grain can pollinate these particular stigmas. Okay, but here the self pollination is rightly avoided by using the protoentry type of the concept in the Malvaceae family. Okay, so this is also very unique to the Malvaceae family. This makes this Malvaceae family very unique from rest of the plant families. Okay, now let us consider the floral formula. Okay, now the floral formula will be very different for the Malvaceae family. Now observe, the very first thing in the floral formula given is the actinomorphic condition. Okay, so actinomorphic flower is there, that is why actinomorphic symbol is put here. And the flowers are hermaphrodite in nature or they are bisexual in nature, so the both type of sexes were present on the flower, female sex and the male sex, and this particular sign is placed. Okay, now after showing the hermaphrodite nature and the actinomorphic flower, we have to give the epicalyx. Okay, that is the epicalyx is present in this particular Malvaceae family, and it can range from 3 to 7. Okay, that is why 3 to 7 is given at the base. Okay, so 3 to 7 type of the epicalyx or 3 to 7 9 number epicalyx are present in the Malvaceae family. Now after that we have the calyx. Calyx are 5 in number and they are fused. Okay, and that is why the bracket were placed. Okay, they are fused in they fuse with one another to form the one single tube, and here's the 5, you have the bracket here. So calyx 5 in number and they were fused. Okay, and a corolla is also, petals are also 5 in number, but they are free. Okay, they are free and hence no bracket is there. Androecium, yes, androeciums are indefinite and they were fused. Okay, single staminal tube is formed by them and hence they were showing the indefinite number, and there is a presence of the bracket around this indefinite sign because the single staminal tube is formed by them. Then the gynoecium, okay, gynoecium can range from 5 to the indefinite and ovary is superior, and hence the underline is given, and these gynoeciums are syncarpous and hence the bracket is shown here. Okay, so actinomorphic, Bisexual apical 3 to 7, calyx 5 in number fuse, corolla 5 in number free, androecium indefinite fuse, ganoecium 5 to indefinite fuse, and ovary is superior. Okay, so this type of the unique floral formula is there for the Malvaceae family, because this particular Malvaceae family is showing the very unique kind of the flowers, and hence you should remember this carefully. Actually, it is very helpful to have the extra characteristics in the floral formula, because this will make this floral formula very unique and different from the rest of the floral formula, and this will make us easy to remember this particular floral formula. Okay, now as it is, this floral formula has to reflect in the floral diagram as well. Okay, now consider the floral diagram. Okay, now whatever you see on the outermost side, okay, here this is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third one. Okay, these are the epicalyx. As you know, we have shown the 3 to 7 epicalyx can be there. So depending upon species, the 3 epicalyx can be there, and depending upon species, 7 epicalyx can be there. Okay, so for this particular example, we have put forward the 3 epicalyx. Okay, outside the calyx. Okay, here you will find the first epicalyx, second epicalyx, and the third epicalyx, which is located outside of the calyx. Okay, because here inside we have the calyx, right? So these calyxes are 5 in number. Okay, see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in number, right? And they are fused. Okay, see the fusion is shown like this. The fusion between the calyx is there like this, right? So calyx are fused with one another, and the 5 in number. And which type of activation is there? Velvet type of activation is there, because they were aligned on the same radii. Okay, all are aligned with the same radii, right? So what you will come to know from this floral diagram, the epicalyx are 3, right? Then after the corolla, how the corolla is there? Corolla are how the calyx is there? Calyx is 5 in number, fused with one another, and velvet type of activation is there in the calyx. Now after the calyx we have the corolla. Now see the corolla, how the corolla is the number 5. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see the activation. The one end of the one petal is overlapped by the other, and the other end of it of this petal is overlapping the another petal, like this. Okay, no one is completely outside, no one is completely inside, so no imbricate activation, right? So if such a kind of overlapping is there, regular overlapping is there, then such a kind of overlapping is called as the uh, twisted type of activation, right? It is called as the twisted type of activation. Okay, so twisted type of activation is there for the corolla, while the velvet type of activation is there for the calyx, right? After that, the indefinite number of the stamens are there. Okay, here one thing we have missed, that is the epipetalous condition. Okay, we have talked about the epipetalous condition, that is the corollas are fused with the androecium. Okay, here, so which sign we use in the floral formula for the epipetalous condition? Observe carefully on this C. Okay, you have to draw like this. Okay, let me clear the slide first. So this is the floral formula, and we have to put the sign for the epipetalous condition, right? Epipetalous condition is that condition in which the petals and the androecium have the fusion with one another. Okay, so it is shown by this symbol. Okay, you have to put this compulsorily in the floral formula of the Malvaceae, because there is a fusion of the corolla and the androecium. Okay, the staminal tube is fused with that of the corolla. So this sign is very, very important from the floral formula point of view when you draw the floral formula for the Malvaceae family. Okay, now here, see, we are talking about the androecium. See, number of androeciums are indefinite. Okay, many androeciums are there, and see the lines. The androecium line is connecting with that of the petals. Okay, this is showing the epipetalous condition. Okay, which condition is there? Epipetalous condition is there. So the petals and the androeciums have the connection, and to show this connection, these are lines were drawn, which is connecting the androecium and the corollas, and hence we say the epipetalous condition is there. This epipetalous condition not only reflects in the floral formula, but it also reflects in the floral diagram as well. All right, so inside we have the 5 to indefinite gynosiums, and they were also fused, okay, with one another. So the bracket is shown in the floral formula for the gynosium. Here also you can find the presence of the gynosium which is fused. Okay, so here this complete floral diagram is there for the Malvaceae family. On the outer side you will have epicalyx, then we have calyx, then we have corolla, then we have androecium, and then we have gynosium. And epipetalous condition is shown. The different types of activation, that is the velvet activation, and then the twisted type of activation is shown in this particular floral diagrams. Okay, so this is how the floral formula and the floral diagram is there for the Malvaceae family. All right. Now let us consider which type of the primitive characters were actually shown by the Malvaceae family. Now see the presence of the mucilage in the plant is it is considered as a primitive character. Then some plants are shrubs and trees. As you know, the herbs are considered as advanced character, while shrubs and the trees are considered as a primitive character. So majority of the members are shrubs and the trees, and that is why there are these are considered as a primitive family. Then the leaves are alternate, simple, and the stipulate. These are also the primitive characters. Then how the flowers are there? Flowers are solitary in nature, right? Hermaphrodite, that is bisexual condition is there. Hypogynous in nature, actinomorphic symmetry is there, and bracteate nature is there. So all these characters are considered as a primitive characters for this particular family. Then the presence of epicalix, okay, the presence of epicalix is also considered as a primitive character because this type of the structures were found in the gymnospermous plant. You will have the structures which are equivalent to the epicalix, and yes, this particular epicalix is considered as a very primitive character, okay, which is found in the lower plant groups. And in the lower plants, if the such a kind of structure or reduced kind of structures of the epicalix were found, then this particular epicalix, when it is found in the angiospermic plant, it is considered as a primitive, okay. Then corolla are free, okay, there is no syncarpus condition. So when the corolla are free and there is no gamma petalous type of condition, and hence these corollas are considered as a primitive type of the corolla. Then the gynoeciums are polycarpellary, okay. In the abulation you will find the many carpels are there, and presence of the many carpels is considered as a primitive character, while the seeds are endospermic. Actually, the non-endospermic seeds were also present in some of the species, but there are some species which shows the endospermic seeds, okay. So endospermic seed is presence of the endospermic seed in some species also makes this family very primitive, okay. So all these points are here which makes this particular Malvaceae family a primitive family, right? Now which points makes them a very advanced family? See, the many plants are the annual herbs, okay. As you know, the herb plants are considered as a advanced plants, and the herb plants are present in the Malvaceae family. Epicalix is absent in the some of the genera, for example, Abetilon and Sida, okay. So these genera are considered as advanced genera because they do not show any type of the epicalix. Then the calyx is gamocephalous, that is the fusion is there in the calyx. So this is considered, this one is considered as a advanced character. Then the stamens are monoadelphous and anthers are monothecous, right? All the stamens are united to form the single staminal tube, okay. Observe here the staminal tubes, how the staminal tubes are there. These are staminal tubes are considered as a very advanced character, okay, and anther are monothecous in nature. There is no diathecous condition. The monothecous condition is there in these particular families, and this is considered as a advanced characteristic, okay. See, the gynoecium is syncarpus, that is the syncarpus condition, that is the fused gynoecium or the fused carpels are there, right? This is considered as a advanced character, and the fruits are simple, okay. The fruits are very simple, and these fruits are considered as a advanced type of character, that is the simple fruits, okay. So Malvaceae family, it is showing the presence of the herbs, okay, which is the advanced character, monoadelphous stamens, right? Advanced character, monothecous anthers, advanced character, syncarpus gynoecium, advanced character, right? And the simple fruit is also advanced character. So all these points makes this family a very advanced family, right? Now let us consider the economic importance of the Malvaceae family. Which kind of importance is there for the Malvaceae family, right? See, economically this family is very much of importance because of their number of plants of which yields the fiber, okay. That is the fiber yielding plants are there, and as you know, you have the individual topic, that is the plants which yields the flower, okay, which yields the fiber. So here you should carefully observe the which plants are producing the fiber, which plants are able to produce the fibers, or which can be the good source of the fibers, okay. So in the Malvaceae family you will find such a plant. For example, here in the Gossypium you will find there is a production of cotton, okay. So this type of fibers were largely used to create the cloths and the various materials, right? So that is why this particular Malvaceae family has its own kind of the importance, that is the fiber producing plants or the fiber yielding plants belongs to this particular Malvaceae family, okay. Now see, the fiber yielding plants, the very first is the cotton plant. It's the Gossypium, right? It is perhaps the most important fiber in spite of the many synthetic textile fibers, okay. Nowadays we can create the synthetic textile fibers, but still a cotton has its reputation maintained so far because this cotton is largely used throughout the world to produce the different kinds of the clothes, right? See, the seed coat of the Gossypium, it produces the epidermal hairs of the Cenozoic nature, and this is called as the cotton wool, okay. So not only cotton, but also the cotton wool is also created out of these plants, okay. So the very first plant which yields the fiber is the cotton plant, which is the Gossypium genus, and this Gossypium genus not only producing the cotton, but it also produces the wool, okay, and that is why it becomes a very important member of the Malvaceae family from the economic point of view, okay. Now consider the second one, that is the Hibiscus cannabinus, okay. This is also called as the Deccan hemp, right? It produces a very valuable fiber from the stem, okay. See, this is the Hibiscus cannabinus plant, And from this hibiscus cannabinus plant, the very valuable fiber, okay, the very valuable fiber from its stem is actually is created by, and by using these particular fibers we can create the ropes, then the cordages, then the coarse canvas, sacks, the floors, mattings, etc. Okay, so many kinds of the tools, or I'll say many kinds of the fiber material fibers we can create out of it. Okay, for example, the ropes, the coarse canvas, sacks, floor mattings, etc. were created by using the fibers which is produced in the stem of the hibiscus cannabinus. Okay, here the part is important. Okay, because in the gossypium we use the fruit to take out the cotton, but in the hibiscus cannabinus we are using the stem to take out this particular fiber material, right? Okay, so it is can be used as a substitute for the jute. Okay, jute is also the product which is coming from the stem. So this whatever the fiber which is taken out of the hibiscus cannabinus, it can be the substitute for the jute. Okay, now see the hibiscus subdarifa, this particular plant is called as the petva, right? It is a strong silk brown fiber. It is produced from its stem as well. Okay, this plant is called as the hibiscus subdarifa, and this particular plant from its stem producing the very strong silky brown color fiber. Okay, this is good substitute for the jute in the textile and the paper industry. Okay, whatever paper industry is there and the jute is there in the textile, this plant can be substitute for that jute material. Okay, so here we have discussed the three plants. The very first is the gossypium, the other is the hibiscus cannabinus, and the third is the hibiscus subdarifa. Okay, all this plant material is very useful in producing the various kinds of the fibers. Okay, the cotton is there, the brown silky fiber is there. Okay, the hemp is there, and all these important extract are very useful from the human point of view because it actually a part of our agricultural economy. Okay, now consider the next application, the food. Okay, see the very famous member, right? Abelomoschus esculentus, that is the bhindi. Okay, as you can see, this is the bhindi plant. This also belongs to the Malvaceae family, and the fruits of it is used as a vegetable. Okay, as you know, in India, throughout this bhindi or the or say the ladyfinger, it is used in the households to create the to have to use it in our kitchens, right? So the food items or the food material also belongs to the Malvaceae family in the form of Abelomoschus esculentus, which is called as the bhindi, and it is useful as a vegetable, right? Now see the ornamental plants. Of course, the ornamental plants we have to give because because of their beautiful flowers. Okay, if you see the flowers, they are very beautiful, and these flowers of the hibiscus rosa sinensis or the shoe flower are widely cultivated as an ornamental plant. Okay, this is considered as an ornamental plant, and this particular hibiscus rosa sinensis plant is actually cultivated throughout the world to be used as a ornamental plants. Okay, and then we have the Althea rosea, which is also a garden plant, which is slowly pinkish flowers. Okay, this is the pinkish flower, and this belongs to the Althea rosea, and this Althea rosea is showing the presence of the pinkish flower, which is again useful in the gardens. Okay, then we have the Malva sylvestris, is also a garden plant. This one is also the garden plants. Okay, so by looking just at the flowers, you can come to know that how they are useful for the ornamental purpose. The hibiscus rosa sinensis, Althea rosea, Malva sylvestris, all these are the examples for the Malvaceae family, which can be used for the ornamental purposes. These plants are also useful in the medicine. Okay, see, actually there is one species which is called the Urena species. It is supposed to be cure the hydrophobia, whatever the water hating or the water fearing nature is there in the humans. It can be treated by using the Urena species. Okay, so the medicinal importance is also there for the Malvaceae family. All right. Now see the gossipol, which is obtained from the cotton seed. Okay, why it is called gossipol? Because it is coming from the gossypium species. Okay, the cotton seeds are producing this particular gossipol, and the oil is used as a natural male anti-fertility chemical. Okay, this particular gossipol chemical is used as a natural remedy to cure the male anti-fertility. Okay, see the roots of the Althea, these are useful in the treatment of the dysentery. Okay, whatever the root of the Althea is there, these roots are useful in the dysentery for the dysentery purpose. Okay, in the treatment of dysentery. So you should carefully remember the botanical name. Okay, and to for the which problem they were used. Okay, and hence you can then you can accurately state the importance of the Malvaceae family members in the medicine. All right. So this is all about this topic. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. Please like this video, share this video with your friends who are studying the botany, and if you haven't subscribed to the Botany Option channel yet, please subscribe to the Botany Option channel for UPSC examination. Again, thank you very much for giving your time. See you in the next video lecture. Thank you.